Tampa Pride President Carrie West discusses Tampa Pride 2022. Recently, Queer News Tonight sat down with Carrie West, the president of Tampa Pride, to discuss the upcoming event. Tampa Pride is this Saturday, the 26th, and they'll be turning Ybor City into GaYbor City. Find out more in this great interview. Watch this.
Well, next up, we have a very special interview at Queer News Tonight. It has been a long pandemic for the LGBTQ plus community. That is why excitement is so high for this coming weekend in Tampa. Tampa came to the Pride celebration movement much later than the rest of Florida because of a city commissioner that existed named Rhonda Storms, an anti-LGBTQ plus stance that she created in the city. The modern Tampa Pride only came back in this last decade, and largely due to my special guest, Carrie West. South Bend had an LGBTQ plus mayor named Buttigieg. Tampa, and specifically Ybor City, had an honorary LGBTQ mayor named West. He created a coalition to oppose the anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment in Tampa and helped carve out a GaYborhood in Ybor City with hundreds of business allies called GaYbor and the GaYbor Coalition. As its president, he put Tampa and Ybor City on the world's LGBTQ plus map. He moved on to lead Tampa Pride, and this weekend, one of the nation's first major Pride celebrations coming out of pandemic will occur, showing our pride in a festival, parade, and major concert, and, you guessed it, right down historic 7th Avenue in Ybor City. I'm very proud to welcome to Queer News Tonight, Carrie West. Well, good evening, Carrie.
Hello!
You know, in full disclosure to all of our viewers, I have to say, Carrie and I have known each other since the cigar makers came from Cuba at the beginning of the last century. And I'm talking about 1900, not 2000. We've known each other for
1873. Don't count the years, though, Al.
So
Don't count those years.
We've known each other for a long time, and in full disclosure, I suspect, although I've never been able to get it out of you, you are older than me. I suspect. That's going to be the story I always tell. Carrie's older than me.
Yeah, I burned my stand on the stove, you know, Al. Al always had the stove going, but I learned from Al. I burned my fingers, so I'll tell you, girls.
All right. Well, Carrie, exciting. You must be busy as all get out this week. Tampa Pride coming back again. Must be very special to you coming out of pandemic the way we are, that you're going to be able to hold this festival and the Saturday night party. Tell us a bit about it. Let's dive right in. What are you going to be doing?
Well, let's dive in is right. Hey, the 8th annual Tampa Pride. And it's so nice because last year, the 7th year, it was the first Pride parade since the COVID in Tampa. And we had just thousands of people. We wanted to have like around 60,000, but there was like around 85,000 people showed up. So it was quite the party last year, and we had a great time. And also we had just so many events going on, and we're increasing it. Now that's our mayor, which happens to be a lesbian mayor who is helping out in all avenues, our Mayor Jane. And so we've had so many efforts and so many things appearing. We were in an event out there that we had the first parade in Tampa and the only parade in Tampa last year due to COVID. But we have so many other things that are happening out there. We have our events that we have out there include our festival events that are health and also our wellness parade area out there. And that kind of includes the hospitals of Tampa. And they come out there and showcase and free health screenings from major hospitals. We have over 40 health clinics. We also have the area out there for artisan fairs. We have a food truck alley. And then we have close to around 180 different festivals, just vendors coming out there. Then we drive into the great big area of the huge diversity parade. And last year we had over 100 and 60 units. This year, we're going to break that probably by another, close to another around 180 units in the parade.
Amazing. That is
now
amazing.
that just tells you something.
Yeah.
People want a parade,
yeah,
and they don't want to let it pass them by.
That's exactly right. They want to celebrate, and we're going to talk about the parade in more detail. But Carrie, help everybody understand why this festival is so special. You said something that just pulls the air out of my lungs when I hear it. This is the 8th Tampa Pride Parade. You go to cities where their Pride parades have been 40 years, 45 years. Tampa was famously held back in terms of LGBTQ support. Well, we give the example of Rhonda Storms. But it took a long time to get the recognition to be able to have a Tampa Pride Festival and Parade in Tampa. Tell everybody that don't understand this why it took so long and how hard the fight was to celebrate Pride in Tampa.
Now, if you could imagine going into your library and a person takes their daughter and they see a book by Tennessee Williams and they said, you know what? That book, who's this Tennessee Williams and why is it so around with rainbows? And that was the daughter. And they said, oh, well, that was a homosexual who wrote this book, daughter. And we shouldn't have this because it's explaining what a homosexual is. And that was the start of a Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioner. And they went through all the different places. And these were not jeopardizing books. These were great books that you read as in high school.
Right.
You read them in, yes. Yeah. And there are many ones from all the way from Langston Hughes. And these are books that you just kind of came and read normally as required in classes. But she was very furious about it and said, well, we're not going to have any of the books going to be on the shelves of the public library, and thus we're also not going to celebrate, we're not going to promote or finance and acknowledge anything LGBT in the county of Hillsborough.
Yeah.
And they went and brought it.
Carrie, I want to focus on that.
This was
the decision of Tampa and Hillsborough County specifically of financing meant we're not going to provide any fire or police protection for a festival or parade that they would do for any festival or parade in Hillsborough County. They specifically made the decision we're not going to allow policemen to provide paramedic support at a public event.
Or can you use a public park in the county?
Gary, it must have been a shocking thing as being the board president of Tampa Pride, with everything that you have fought for in Hillsborough County, to watch what we have watched in the last 3 months in Florida. It must give you a little shudder up your spine that it feels like we're doing the exact same thing in conversation all over again in terms of the oppression of LGBT and why our prides are more needed than ever with what we're watching in Florida.
Just the fact that you have to be who you are. If you can't be who you are, and a lot of the students and a lot of the younger people today say, well, we can be and go to any bar we want to. But guess what? You can still be kicked out of that bar. You can be acknowledged and said, guess what? You're going to be disinvited and not be invited to this bar. And the challenges are happening right now in Tallahassee and also are known and being taken care of as of in today, which are going to be probably one of the scoops of today, saying, guess what? The winner of the marathon and swimming marathon is not going to be recognized, and we're not going to give that person the award for being an athlete. We're going to bypass that person and say, no, I'm sorry, you're disqualified, even though you're a great athlete, and we're going to go and give it to the second place winner, as the governor did today.
Yeah.
What a discrimination.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it absolutely. And Carrie, you've been fighting in Hillsborough County in the Tampa Bay area for like 6-7 decades, I understand. And
I'm following your footsteps there. Listen, you're 12 and my 6.
and your efforts in Tampa have really paid off. You talk about having the only parade in 21 in Hillsborough County, and this year you're going to have this gigantic festival. Can you remember in all of the time that you have been such an advocate for LGBTQ in Hillsborough County and Tampa Bay, where a pride has been more needed with the combination of what we see in Tallahassee and for our governor coming out of COVID pandemic? Can you remember a time in all of your advocacy where pride has been more needed than it is March 26th weekend of 2022? Can you ever remember a time where it's more important?
I bypassed what we did in Florida, and I'm thinking about other counties around the country that say, can we please have a pride in our little small town? And I'm thinking, yes, let's support the small areas. And, being on the Interpride board and helping them around the world, we go through there and people take challenges all the time. In their small little town, they are going and using their abilities to provide a pride and knowing that it's possible a death sentence for them. Yeah. And we stand up hard and want to promote them, but it's their choice of death or possibilities of going to prison for life and being tortured. Yeah. This is not America. And all of a sudden now this is coming back to the United States. This is just unbelievable what's going on. Yeah. And these things are going to only go further and further. The next step is going to say, you know what? We did allow for having adoptions for gay and same-sex couples. That will now be starting to be, the walls will be coming down. The next thing that's going to be happening is, well, is it really a challenge? Is that even part of it? Same-sex marriage. Is that going to be possible? That will be being torn down. Stop it at the beginning. Don't let this happen, because this is affecting you now. Yes, not tomorrow, but now. Yeah. And so this is the only way to do it, is to go and make it happen now. Yeah. And so who can happen, and how can it happen, and how can it be stopped? You're the ones that make it happen. And this is only because if you don't take it happening and stop it from happening, it's going to be affecting your young people's choices, your brothers and sisters that are now in grade school, high school, and those beyond. We hear it from elders all the time that, I wish I had the courage of what your generation. It's not our generation. It's just that you have to pick up that footprint and move forward and saying, that's where we began. It's the members of 1969. It was the people that said, you know what, we have to start somewheres. And this is where we began. Yeah. And so the 50 years later, we are moving forward. Yeah, we are lucky to be sitting in these steps as you get on the air right now.
It's exactly this. Right. We are so lucky in terms of being able to do that.
The plugs aren't pulled yet, folks.
I hear your call to action, and so many people talk about modern prides, our big social events and parties, etc. But at the heart of the reason why we do this is to increase the visibility, to provide support in our community and our allies, and certainly what's going to happen this weekend in Tampa. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is there's this conversation going on that prides are becoming longer than a single day, that they might be month-long celebrations in a particular month. What do you think about that? Is that something in the future for Tampa? Are you talking about it, or are you pretty comfortable with the footprint that Tampa Pride has in Ybor City and Hillsborough County and Tampa Bay?
Oh, no. We have Tampa Pride is now growing to, we're 365 because we now have our spring Tampa Pride event. We also have Tampa Pride on the river, which is in the fall. We're going and working with Tampa Pride and are working also with Tampa Pride in the Christmas time era. And that was somebody. You just never know who's in this building. Sometimes there's ghosts.
Right.
That's it. Sometimes it's years and years, but no, we're growing all the time. We look at it this way. Tampa, was a small, quiet town that got big. A lot of Florida towns happen to be that way. Yeah. And Tampa happens to be one of them. We are falling on the footsteps of the champions, and being champions both academically and in sports, in the football professional leagues, and also medically, in the challenges of growing in the technology of medicalness, and now also in the diversity, and also moving forward in what we are championing and what we're doing right now in the community. Yeah. Yes, that's how we grow. And everybody's coming together in all different avenues. We have everybody, and even then religion. That is kind of a great point. And like last night, we did have the interfaith Pride services, and we had Buddhist, we had out there Muslim, we had Catholicism, we had on there Christian, and we had out there Jewish. And this is a great way to just show all the diversity of being who people are, no matter if you're LGBT. And that was a great crowd last night, by the way. Very great.
It's also great. We always joke, we're sitting down here in South Florida, and we call ourselves the gayest place on planet Earth. Affectionately, we make that joke.
We heard about that.
Yeah, our city mayor is gay. Your city mayor is LGBTQ. Which city is better? You want to go on the record for LGBT? Which city do you like better? Fort Lauderdale or Tampa? Is it? You're going to say Fort Lauderdale, aren't you?
Where?
Right. Let's wrap up and talk about how much fun we're going to have. I'm coming up. Kitty Meow's coming up. It's going to be on your main stage. Faye What's coming up. We're coming because in Roku and Apple Television, we're going to be on 7th Avenue broadcasting the Tampa Pride Parade in Roku, in network television. How exciting that is going to be.
On the second floor.
On the second floor and
the first floor.
And the first floor. And
also down the alleyways.
Yeah, well, that won't be a broadcast. That's going to be something else. But tell us, let's do a little recap. This weekend for everyone that's coming up, a huge contingent of people are coming up out of South Florida to come to Tampa for the weekend. Friday night's event, tell us real quick what you'll be doing Friday night.
Well, this is going to be very interesting. We're doing a first of a kind. I mean, it's coming across the country. You've seen Pose or you've seen Legends. Right now, we're going to be doing a mini ball. It's going to be held at the Cuban Club. And in that night, we're going to be having, as a judge, we're going to be having Aja is going to be one of the, from RuPaul's Drag Race. She's going to be one of the judges that night. And she also is one of the houses. And furthermore, it's that big Vivacious's Pink Secret Party, and that's going to be a wonderful night there at the Cuban Club, and it'll be a true ball right there in Tampa.
So Friday night for the ball. Then
and also the bars all up and down 7th Avenue will be famously busy.
Wait, there are bars in Ybor City, really?
Not just that, we have a club.
A club, right? And Saturday,
many clubs.
You're going to many. Carrie and I have spent many a long evening in those clubs. And then Saturday during the day, the festival is going on. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, what's interesting is one of the major airlines, kind of Edelweiss Airlines, is bringing over close to 75 to 100 journalists are going to be coming in from Europe, and they're going to be here for the week, and they're going to be seeing what LGBT is all about in the Tampa Bay area. And they're going to be here at the Pride Parade. They're going to be here at the diversity. But that day is going to be starting 11 o'clock. We got our rebel rousers, as I call them, and also then our political leaders. And they're also going to have some of the speakers at 11 o'clock, and that kicks off the Tampa Pride Festival. And that goes from 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is the kick in to the Diversity Parade, which is going to go for 3 hours down 7th Avenue, and it's going to be packed with people. And but also along with that, you can go down there in the side streets in the Cuban Club area, and also in the HCC in their festival area, and it's right next to where the parade is going to be on 7th Avenue.
And for our listeners that you might not be aware, Ybor City, imagine it like South Beach, with the South Beach Art Deco buildings on both sides of Ocean. That's what Ybor City is like. So it's a perfect location for this festival and parade. It makes it a lot of fun, and there is a huge diversity of bars, restaurants, things to do on 7th Avenue in Ybor City. And then after the parade, you have a big party at the Cuban Club. Tell us about that.
That's right. We're going to be going, and it'll be all day. We have 2 stages in the Cuban Club courtyard, and one inside, one outside, and there'll be performances from our DJs, and also, we have our Kitty Meow's going to be also hosting there, and we got Candy Muse, and also Aja, and also our Matt Salve is going to be coming there, and we got a lot of hosts and everything for the day. We have close to around 80 different acts inside and outside on stages throughout, and it'll be fun. And it's going to go from 11 in the morning till around 11:30 at night. Yeah. So then after that, then you can go tackle all the other bars and showcase them, but it'll be a fun night. It's going to be open into the stars.
I have to tell listeners, if you've never been to the Tampa Pride and Parade and Festival, you've got to go. I've been in the parade myself many times.
I've seen you there.
I've sat on the balcony with Carrie West husband, Mark Bias, and we have drank through the parade many times, and I've experienced the festival and parade in many, many different ways. And one of the top reasons, besides it being a fantastic festival event that you have to go to, is the weather is almost guaranteed to be perfect. It is. In
70 degrees. How about that? Light breeze on the streets and pathways.
Exactly.
But it's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be wonderful. And please give our regards. You saw Mark Bias, and he's an institution in of himself. He walked in for a moment and cut in on Carrie's shot. And of course, we forgive them because Mark and Carrie have been together for more than 50 years. So deep respect for their efforts.
Our days of kindergarten, we still send our kindergarten teacher the postcard. Okay. We did make it. We did make it. Right. Yeah.
It happened now. We have lie detectors, and when we no. All right. Well, it sounds fun. We are all looking forward to coming up for the weekend to Tampa. First big festival event in the United States for the LGBTQ community.
And they come from across the country. One nice thing is we invite you to come, but we get great numbers from Houston and also coming in from Atlanta. Great numbers from Atlanta, Orlando, South area from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Key West, and then also from, as I said, from Dallas. And I've even seen Al. Al's been there before. I can't say how we got him out, but how did we get you in?
Well, we want to thank, at Queer News Tonight, we want to thank the Vice President of the Tampa Chamber of Commerce, Carrie West, and only joking in terms of promotion. You don't want to miss it. If you're in South Florida, you want to plan to come up to Tampa this weekend. It's a very special event. The combination of the events and the weather and the LGBTQ community and the history of Ybor City, it is a magical mix of everything that we want to see in the community. Carrie West, we wish you all the luck. It's going to be amazing, amazing. All of these stars are aligning. When all of this terribleness that we're watching in Tallahassee is going on, the LGBTQ community is going to stand up this weekend in Tampa and say no. And we're going to show you why. And we're going to show you showing our pride. Congratulations to you.
Thank you much. And we want to say also our praises and thanks and prayers to those in Ukraine.
Yes, absolutely. Carrie West, thank you very much for being with us at Queer News Tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Al.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ